Brodes Media.
I just feel like it's been a billion years since the last time I even watched this team play. I'm stuck with watching the New York Jets and Zach Wilson on prime time. I don't know how they deserve all the eyeballs that they get, but that's been brutal. I need to see Jalen Hurts. I need to see a real quarterback. I need to see two teams that are legitimate actually have the spotlight, damn it. And, man, I'm stoked for it. I'm excited. And realistically, it comes down to Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson going toe-to-toe with Andy Reid after a bye. And that's a very difficult task, right? It's not like a lot of coaches can match it. Well, Nick, it's time. It's time. And I thought in the Super Bowl that the game plan was strong by your Philadelphia Eagles from everybody except for one, Jonathan Gannon, who's the biggest fraud in football. So now we're dealing with Al Horford, the biggest fraud in basketball, and one day later I have to talk about Gannon, the biggest fraud in football. It's sad, sad days. I want to talk about greatness. I want to think about the good things in life. So this all starts with the coaching. Coaching. Yeah, there's something to be said about Andy Reid's track record. He's been around a long time, and he wins a lot of the time after a bye. Yo, Nick, it's time to show your worth, and I think he can do it, all right? I'm holding him accountable because I think he has it in him. I think he can go toe-to-toe with one of the most creative minds. And I'm saying this even with Brian Johnson as the OC, which I'm sure a lot of you listening are thinking, what a mess, and Brian Johnson could screw this thing up. They've done way better in the red zone. Their passing game has been great between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. It seems like Jalen Hurts feels good with his knee, and he's not wearing the knee brace anymore, and we were able to finally talk to the coaching staff and see some practice, and Cam Jurgens is back out there. Roby, a lot of the guys that were extremely banged up are back on the gridiron, while Travis Kelce's out there singing songs and wherever the hell he was, in whatever country he was, with Taylor Swift. We're getting ready for some football, and he's kissing Taylor Swift on TikTok videos. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Now, all jokes aside, the tight ends, we've seen some tight ends do some nasty work against this secondary so far this season, and Jimmy Kempski of Philly Voice put out there a few just to note. So Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots had 6 targets, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Hawkinson, Minnesota Vikings, 8 targets, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. Logan Thomas, 8 targets, 44 yards, and a touchdown. And, of course, the stinking, disgusting Dallas Cowboys. Ferguson had 10 targets, almost 100 yards, and 1 touchdown. Roby being back could be massive to get everybody back in place, but there's no doubt Sean Desai is working with some makeshift things out there, and the secondary hasn't been perfect, and teams have been able to pass on them. I looked up some of the stats that in regards to passing yards, that they are similar to the New York Football Giants, the team that gets exposed and bent over by every opponent ever, and the New England Patriots, who have 2 wins on the season. They suck. Those 2 passing game defenses, you're flirting around those guys with total number of passing yards. That's brutal. With that said, teams can't run against you. They have the number 1 defense with the rushing yards total, and they are a beast. Now, your defensive front will have to win you this game defensively. There's no sugarcoating it, but there's no better time to rely on a BG than after BG has a sensational effort and helps win you a football game against the bastards, the Dallas Cowboys. Also factor in Hassan Reddick is awoken. Okay, he woke up and he's been a monster. And Josh Sweat, his rate of getting to the quarterback and putting pressure on the opposing team is at the top of the league. So that right there, and Jordan Davis swallowing people, and Jalen Carter swallowing people, those 2 Georgia dogs, that's what you're going to need to do. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, They don't average a ton of points. This is not the same Kansas City Chiefs team that we have seen in years past. I do want to highlight, though, and I'm saying the same thing about this Eagles football team. I don't think they are as powerful as they were last year, but when you have sustained success and you have the quarterback and a head coach and that duo that rocked the entire league by storm, Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes does that. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni over the last 2 seasons have done that. And you're working through injuries and you're working through new teammates and you lose Miles Sanders and you go get DeAndre Swift. And, there's a lot that you filter through and your secondary is not the same. You have a new DC, but you have sustainability in winning football games because of the 2 most important positions in the sport in head coach and quarterback. If you're going 8-1 following Super Bowl appearances, there's something to be said about how great you are. It might not be the same. You might not score the same amount of points. Some things might change with your identity, but your identity screams, we still win football games, and that's what both of these teams are. I have to note, though, if the Eagles hold the Chiefs to what they averaged this season, which is around middle of the pack, it's slightly better than middle of the pack at 23 points per game, they should win this football game. They should be the team that has a W. They should be 9-1 and in control of being the team that gets a bye at the end of the season in the NFC. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because that means your offense can't score 24. And while I give Spags a lot of credit, his defense has been definitely more interesting this season, and they have made some more plays this year, and they've been the ones that get a lot of the highlight package love at times with their defense. So Spags is a pro. Spags has been around a long time. He is a weapon in this league. I respect him, and I respect this Kansas City franchise right now. They are a beatable bunch, and they don't put fear in my eyes like they did in years past. And whether that's because they aren't as flashy, or I think my team is just as good, or a combination of the both of those, I'm ready for it, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this test. All we heard was gauntlet, gauntlet, gauntlet. Well, I'll give you your gauntlet and shove it right up, because this team can answer the bell. Jordan Mailata on WIP a couple days ago brought the fire and said Nick Sirianni's going to walk in like it's any other day. And I don't know what message we get. John Clark sometimes tweets it out that I've been told by some of my sources that Nick Sirianni showed them a Michael Jordan documentary or a Kobe Bryant doc. I'm sure we'll get something sooner rather than later. I don't know what Nick Sirianni does, but earlier in the week, Jordan Mailata expressed that, okay, he feels that Sirianni might say this is another day at the office. But everybody knows what that feeling was like when they walked off that field in Arizona, the shit show field that was, that definitely hurt them from locking in as many sacks as we saw them get throughout the regular season. And they saw that confetti that was red and gold falling on their face. And what does Nick Sirianni always stresses what the bye week is all about? It's self-assess mode. It's look within mode. Well, you don't think you go back and watch that Super Bowl and feel the same level of pain? There's motivation due to frustration on what they let slip through their hands. And that's another Lombardi trophy for the Philadelphia Eagles.